Hi, welcome to another edition of Tuesday Morning Storytime at Madison Books. Hope you're all doing well out there, and hope we get to see you again here at the actual store again real soon. But in the meanwhile, I've got a few books for you, including one called Go Boats Go by Addie Boswell, illustrated by Alexander Mostoff. Some beautiful weather in this scene. Old boats, new boats, one or two boats, tall boats, small boats, heave and haul boats, boats for fishing, boats for sunning, wake up boats, the rapids running, boats you pedal, boats you tow, boats you race in, go boats go. Oh no, the sailboat's going slow. The wind stopped blowing. Row, boats, row. Boats to sleep in, boats to stand. Are boats supposed to go on land? Sometimes they are. Boats in costumes, boats in lights. Ooh and ah, boats glow at night. Boats that search, boats that spy. Holy floats, can that boat fly? I like that one. Boats with rudders, boats with tails, boats with windows for watching whales. That's pretty close to a whale. Captains, ready. Rowers, low. All hands on deck now. Go, boats, go. That looks like a lot of fun. Reading about boats or being out on a boat on a day like today would be really nice. The next book is a book I really like called What Happens on Wednesdays by Emily Jenkins, drawn by Lauren Castillo. Unfortunately, you can't get this anymore, so this is a rare opportunity to hear this story. What happens on Wednesdays is, I wake up when it's still dark out. Mommy comes in wearing her sleeper suit and swings me up and kisses me. I tell her, today is not a kissing day. I sit on the counter while Mommy makes coffee. Then she drinks her coffee and I drink my milk, and maybe we have some strawberries while we read stories on the couch. When the clock says 6, we wake up Daddy, which can take a long time. Daddy and I go down to get the newspaper. I help him take off the rubber band. Then he drinks tea in the flower chair and I sit on his lap. Mommy goes around straightening things and makes my lunch. I remind her to put in animal crackers. When the sun comes up, I look out the window for the shop across the street to open. Kat steps out and smells the morning. Her name's Maria. Mommy says, "Bye, love, I'm going in the back to work on the computer." She kisses Daddy and tries to kiss me, but I remind her that today is not a kissing day. Daddy and I get dressed and we go out, past Maria and the shop where she lives, past my friend Era Lynn's building, past the daycare where I used to go when I was little, across the street and down the block to the bagel store by the dog park. 2 poppy seed, toasted with cream cheese, says Daddy, and a large black coffee. Oui, says the man behind the counter, because he's French. We buy an orange juice that comes with a special little straw and take our food to the dog park so we can sit at the picnic tables. My friend Zoya is there with her dad. She gets up early too. I give her some of my bagel. Then Zoya and I run from tree to tree and go down the curly slide. Soon the dogs come into the park for their walks. Tiger and Trouble and Harlem and Peaches and Sanchez. Tiger and Peaches look the same as each other. Tiger goes off his leash. When it's time, Daddy and I say bye to Zoya and walk past the store with the toy mouse you can ride for $1 and around the corner to school. I put my coat in my cubby. What happens on Wednesdays is there are bubbles in the water table, so I play with that and Daddy says goodbye. I remind him that today is not a kissing day. We have choice time and circle and choice time and music and playground time and stories and lunch, which is the same on Wednesdays as any other day. I eat my animal crackers first. Mommy picks me up after lunch and we go home and drink milk and read books in the big grown-up bed until we both fall asleep. What happens on Wednesdays is when I wake up from my nap, Mommy has her bathing suit on under her clothes and we go to the pool. There's a lady in the locker room who says I'm delicious, and I like to get inside the lockers. There are rubber ducks and foam noodles in the pool during family dip. I always get a purple noodle. I can put my face in. I cry in the shower because I don't like it. Then we dry off and put on our clothes, and Mommy gives me a granola bar from her pocket. On the way home, we stop at the library, which has a stuffed duckling that's big enough to ride on. See it back there? There are shelves of scary grown-up stories that spin around if you push them. I sit on the counter while Mommy checks out books. Then we go down the steps, up the block where we once saw an umbrella caught in a tree, past the bakery where we got that chocolate croissant, across the street, past the daycare where I used to go when I was little, past my friend Era Lynn's house, past Maria and the shop where she lives, to home. Mommy makes my dinner. I put Band-Aids on Luga, my stuffed elephant, or I make a puppet show, or I build a swimming pool out of blocks, or I go through laundry and try on grown-up clothes. It's different every Wednesday. What happens on Wednesdays is Daddy comes home early. I eat my dinner and share some with him. Then Daddy gives me a bath. I can put my face in. I put on my sleeper suit and do the zipper myself. Then Mommy reads stories while Daddy unloads the dishwasher. Or Daddy reads stories while Mommy goes around straightening things. And what happens on Wednesdays is I can pick who puts me to bed. So I pick Daddy. I say goodnight to Mommy and remind her today is not a kissing day. Daddy and I go in my room and Luga comes too. We turn out the light. I remind Daddy that today is not a kissing day. And then I kiss him. And he kisses me and I kiss him and he kisses me. He sits on my bed quietly. I close my eyes, but then I open them again. I can see my hands in the dark. I can hear Daddy breathing. And that is all. That's what happens on Wednesdays. Does that remind you of any of your days of the week? All right, one more. This is actually one part of a book called Zoom. The story of Zoom. Zoom is a cat. Was originally told in 3 different books, but there's a nice edition that puts all those books together, and I'm going to read the first part, which is called Zoom at Sea. Zoom loved water, not to drink. He liked cream to drink. Zoom liked water to play with. One night, when a leaky tap filled the kitchen sink, Zoom strapped wooden spoons to his feet with elastic bands and paddled in the water for hours. He loved it. The next night, he made a boat from a wicker basket with a towel for a sail. Blown around the bathtub all night, he was as happy as could be. There was no stopping him. Every night when other self-respecting cats were out mousing and howling, Zoom stayed indoors and sailed about in the dark. By day, he watched the tap and dreamed. One afternoon, while dreaming in the attic, he noticed a shelf he had not seen before. A dusty diary lay next to a photograph of a large yellow tomcat with white whiskers and a black sou'wester. It was inscribed, "For Zoom, from Uncle Roy." Zoom opened the diary, and on the last page, he found an address and a map. "The sea and how to get there," it said. The sea was not far, really. Zoom took a bus. He arrived very early in the morning at a house with a big front door. It was so early Zoom was afraid to knock, but the light was on, and if he listened closely, he thought he could hear someone inside. With great excitement, he rapped 3 times. The door opened. Before him stood a large woman in a blue dress. She wore silver earrings and many silver bracelets on her wrists. "I want to go to sea," said Zoom nervously. The woman smiled, but said nothing. Zoom spoke louder. I'm Uncle Roy's nephew, and I want to go to sea. Ah, said the woman, nodding her head. Come in, my little sailor. Inside was cold and damp. I'm Maria, said the woman. I'm not ready just yet. The room was quiet and dark. Everything was still. Far away, Zoom could hear a sound like a leaky faucet. He sat, trying to be patient, while Maria bustled around. Sometimes it was difficult to see her in the gloom, but he could hear the swish of her skirts and the tinkling of her bracelets. The sea was nothing like Uncle Roy had described in his diary. Zoom was sure he had made a mistake, and he was just about to sneak away when Maria looked at her watch and winked. Now I'm ready. And with that, she turned an enormous wheel several times to the right. The floor began to rumble, and machinery began to whir and hum. The room grew lighter, and Zoom saw that it was very large. Now Maria pushed a button and cranked a crank. Zoom could hear the sound of water rushing through the pipes. First there were only puddles, but then it poured from the closets and lapped at his feet. From rows upon rows of tiny doors, Maria released seagulls and sandpipers, pelicans and terns. From pots and cages, she set free hundreds of crabs and octopi and squid who scurried this way and that across the sandy floor. Maria laughed. Zoom laughed. This was more like it. Noise and sunlight and water, for now there was water everywhere. Suddenly, Zoom realized he could not even see the walls of this giant room, only the sun coming up like gold and silver fish dancing on the waves. Far away, he could see a fishing boat. Maria smiled and said, Go on, it's all yours. Quickly, he gathered some old logs and laced them together with seaweed. He made a raft and decorated it with shells as white as Maria's teeth. When it was ready, he pushed and he heaved with all his might and launched the raft into the waves. I'm at sea, he called. He danced around on his driftwood deck and occasionally cupped his paws and shouted very loudly back to shore, More waves, or more sun, or more fish. Waves crashed against the raft. The sun beat down. Fish leaped across the bow and frolicked in his wake. Zoom looked back toward the shore and saw Maria. He realized then that he was tired. The waves subsided and the water gently began to roll toward the shore. Zoom sat and let the tide drift him back. He sat with Maria at her little table, drinking tea and eating fish fritters, and watched the sun sink into the sea. As the light dimmed, the room didn't seem half so big. Maria's bun had come undone, and there was sand in the ruffles at the bottom of her dress, but still she smiled, and her jewelry tinkled silver in the twilight. Thank you for a great day, said Zoom, as he stood at the door. May I come back? I'm sure you will, said Maria. And he did. I think maybe we'll read more about Zoom another week, because he has lots of other adventures that are even more interesting than that one. Well, thanks for tuning in today, and hope to see you again next week. Bye.